Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to G-Dub's Point of View podcast. I'm your host, G-Dub. Um, we kick right back into night two of the G1. I personally thought this was probably the most perfect show you could have, especially for the first night of a block. This was pretty insane as far as all of the matches and how all of the results went. Card-wise, I think everyone performed just almost perfectly. This is definitely going to be a rival for best card and best night of the entire tournament, and we're only at night two, which is just insane to think about. Everyone played their role really well. Everyone showed out. There's a couple points in like the second match that I'll get to where there's a lot of negative reaction to the match, which I'm not really understanding personally. The only tag match note I had today was with the Suzuki match, of course, and after the match, going over and terrorizing the commentators and having Don and Rocky just go flying is always fun. I don't know the entire history, but Don's always has this constant fear of being afraid of Suzuki, which is always fun to continue to play on. Okada, of course, still looks really cracked out and got his new matching T-shirt with Gato, but and they had a fun little tag where Tonga did this great counter of the small package that I haven't seen before. So yeah, the undercard was okay. I just watched a couple and don't have many notes to take from it. But first match of the night, if I can talk, was Ishii versus Yano. This was just it's impressive to see the reaction these two got for switching roles. Of course, they match up at the beginning, and Yano starts actually doing like strong style moves and doing hip tosses and arm drags and going blow for blow with Ishii, which the crowd is just lighting up for. It was so fun to watch. It was just really impressive to see that Yano, apparently he was a collegiate wrestler, and since I haven't been around for too long, I've only been around for a couple years, I haven't seen him do anything other than the comedy stuff. So to see him actually break out some like real moves and like a brain buster, I think at one point, and of course the perfect ending was Yano wants to do his cheating ways, and the ref kind of catches him. He's like, okay, fine, I won't cheat, and then the ending with all the throwing each other into the ref, and then Ishii low blows Yano and rolls him up. You can't book that any better for their friendly rivalry and being tag partners for so long and never having a match like that, and just to switch roles with Ishii being the guy that does all the dirty moves and the roll up, and Yano trying to play it straight and by the rules was perfect. I thought that was the best opener to have for this night, and I really thought it was just a fun way to open up the show. If Yano does more of that kind of stuff throughout the tournament, his matches are going to be really entertaining. But I do hope he kind of leans more into the comedic side when he has those more serious wrestlers, because those are always more fun to see as more clash of styles. And then of course his comedy stuff with Kenny towards the end will be really fun. But I like seeing this side of him. He's still a comedy guy, but he busting out real moves and hearing the crowd react was just great. So now we move on to the second match of the night, which was Juice against Tama. This was the match that didn't sit too well with people. A lot of people are now taking this chance to shit on Tama Tonga. I think they were thrown in a weird spot. They're both great wrestlers, and of course, Juice has his storyline going where he's the babyface champ. But he can't use his left hand because it's still got the cast on it, so it's an automatic disqualification. I thought the match was good. It's good for what those two guys can bring. It was perfect storytelling because you had Tonga Loa come out the second Tama, and then there was a little bit of involvement here and there, some distractions. Juice was able to use that big left hand on Loa because it wasn't a DQ, and then they did a great reversal at the end from the Pulp Friction into the gun stun. And Tama gets the win, and of course the future U.S. title match if he wants it. I think it's a great way to go about it. I think Tama deserves to have that title match at some point. I saw the reactions online were instantly, or people were like, God, this shows why he doesn't deserve to be the ace of. They were throwing it. I mean, sure, he might not. He's very smooth in the ring, and he might not be like this guy that's going to pull out 5-star matches out of his ass. But he's a solid hand. He's got the charisma. I do agree that he needs to fix his promos because he does ramble, as I tend to do in these videos. It's he kind of starts with a point and then decides that he doesn't know where it's going and just likes to keep going and going and going and never really have an end to what he's saying, which was apparent at this year's G1 conference and last year's G1 conference. But charisma-wise, he's great. I mean, he's just got so much of it, and he's so silky smooth in the ring that it's hard not to like him. And now being given that chance of being the forefront guy of this Bullet Club OG that they're calling it, they were thrown in a tough spot in the sense that every other match on this card was so good that it was just, this was the least, this was probably the worst match of the 5 because they didn't have this giant story behind them, or they couldn't just out wrestle and tell this great wrestling story with not much behind it in 14 minutes. It was hard to fill that spot, and I thought these guys did a great job of filling that spot as best they could. Juice starting out with a loss is kind of interesting. I do agree that Tama should get that title shot, so I don't know who else Juice will lose to. Of course, he'll probably lose to Kenny, just because you can't have the U.S. champ go over the heavyweight champ, even though it did happen last year. I just don't see it happening this year. But Tama starting out with the win is great. Of course, I did my predictions before, 2 weeks ago, before the whole San Francisco show went down. So now, if I would have known Tama was getting this big push after the night of San Francisco, then I would have probably predicted Tama to win this, just because I could see him having a U.S. title match. So I'm glad that he's going to get that opportunity. Middle match of the night was Goto versus Sonata. Goto got this was a brutal match. They killed it. Goto is really starting to show me personally why he's one of the top guys in the company that hasn't won the heavyweight title. I think it's actually probably a better point comparing him to yesterday, because he fits in that same bruiser role that Elgin and Evil does, but he does it much more effortlessly than those two do. And so it's easier for him to match up against different calibers of opponents, like tonight in Sonata, with Sonata's crazy athleticism and smoothness in the ring. Goto can kind of counter that with his big power moves and his ability to hold him down in the ring. Where I think, also if Goto matches up against someone like an Elgin, he can have that big bruiser match. He's just easier at transitioning between styles that someone like an Elgin or an Evil can't really do as effectively. So Goto just had a great night. Sonata showed out again, doing all the crazy moonsaults, dives, just being smooth as ever. And those two just put on a classic. It was easily the best match of the night up to that point. It was the start of the trifecta of the evening. It was such a good opener to the other two matches on the card that it was definitely a high point of the night. Probably my third favorite, just because the last two matches are so good. But yeah, there's nothing really too much to say, because both these guys showed that they have the talent. They match up well with each other. They both have big matches against all the other people in the block, because he's going to have a Naito match, which is going to be great. He's going to have an Evil match, which is going to be great. He's going to face Ibushi. He's going to face Kenny. I mean, they're going to be great matches. And Goto's the same way. Goto, I think, he main events the next B Block night, which will be next Thursday, against Kenny, which will be a rematch of the G126 finals. And they'll probably kill it again, because that was such a great match for that final night. To have both of them more well rested this time around will be really fun to see, and actually see what they can do at full strength and with a different story. But yeah, this was definitely a can't miss match as far as this night goes. It was such a good middle match as well, because it was just long enough that it felt like a decent amount of time, but it was quick and had fast pace that it didn't take away from it kept the action up, and it didn't take away from any of the other matches on the night. The semifinal, of course, was Ibushi and ZSJ. It was a rematch of the New Japan Cup, with ZSJ having that win over Ibushi. This match was great. their styles work so well together. I think a thing that ZSJ does better than, especially like this matchup compared to yesterday's matchup of Tanahashi and Suzuki, is this match kind of started with a similar route of like the first 3 or 4 minutes were spent on the ground doing submissions, but ZSJ's style and doing all these crazy submissions that you don't see any other people doing, crazy escapes that no one else does, mixed with Ibushi's athleticism, it's way more entertaining for me personally to watch. I think that speaks to both of these men's ability in the ring, and I think it really does show the change in generational wrestling, with Tanahashi and Suzuki coming from an older style to where these new guys are doing a new style of wrestling. This was a better match than their New Japan Cup match, which was phenomenal. I had ZSJ predicted to go over, and so Ibushi winning is kind of surprising to me. It made sense in the scheme of the match because they really played up Ibushi's power advantage over Zack, and Zack didn't get a chance to show off any of the new power moves that he kind of debuted a little bit in the tag match with, like the new Zack driver that he has. But yeah, it was pretty wild match. Definitely must watch. I think this match and the main event are must watch if you're watching anything during this tournament. A 23-minute match that didn't really seem that long is pretty great. I like the storytelling that they had in the match. I thought they played off really well with Ibushi constantly trying to go, wear ZSJ down, and then ZSJ's targeting different limbs, which is of course his game plan all the time, but targeting the knee of Ibushi because he's the high flyer, and he has the big finish, which is the knee. But of course the ending is a great reversal sequence, and it was just phenomenal. Definitely looking forward to both Ibushi and ZSJ facing Kenny and Naito later on in the block. It's gonna be, those are both gonna be great matches. Or I guess all of them are gonna be great matches. All four of those will be just must watch. So it was a great showing by these two to really start off the tournament. And of course, main event, match of the night, Omega and Naito. The storytelling in this was fantastic. Of course, you have Naito who comes in. He's coming in full suit. He's got the cape from Wrestle Kingdom 12. I mean, this is try hard Naito. And then you have Omega coming in with the Dominion 2017 tights. The callbacks to their previous matches were well used. I did like, where Naito, does the fake dive, of course, and he usually does the roll into the, to the Tranquilo or the LIJ salute. And then last year in the G1 Finals, he immediately got up and then dove to the outside and hit Kenny. Well, this year he went for that again, but stopped before diving. So I thought that was a great callback to that match. Kenny doing the just unbelievably far crossbody to the outside. I didn't think he could get that far. He does this. Naito's over the guardrail and he does the springboard and throws himself. He could have hit like the people in the 6th or 7th row. He just flew. Which in a way is a callback to their match 2 years ago of Naito being on the outside and Kenny doing the far more riskier front flip, like capo kick, to the outside, which did not end well bump wise. So I think it's a lot safer to go for a crossbody into a bunch of chairs to kind of help break their fall. This match, it felt like it had a 6-minute closing sequence, which is insane to think about. Naito's just pace, all the matches he's in is just ridiculous. The fact he's able to keep it up the entire match, every match, is pretty nuts. So I like the fact that he does take it easier in tag matches, because if he does this every singles match, and they're all entertaining because he just goes nonstop. He's got like an Osprey level energy, but in a heavyweight form, which is that makes him one of the favorites, one of the crowd favorites for sure. Apart from just his personality, is the fact that he just goes in the ring 100% all the time, is really helpful in getting him over with the fans, both in Japan and over here in the States. But the big counter move was the Kenny countered Destino into a one-winged angel or an electric chair. He's going to drop him down for his old finish. Naito does a roll through to try and do a roll up, but Kenny catches him into the cradle pile driver, or I forget. I guess it's like a front dude buster that Trent does. It was just, that was an insane sequence. And that was 6 minutes left in the match, and that the rest of that time felt like a closing sequence. It was, and to finish it with the, of course, Naito keeps going for Destino after Destino, then gets hit with the massive V triggers. Kenny, I thought, clapped him on one of them, where they're both rebounding off the ropes, and that was, Naito, of course, Naito's one of the best sellers in the company. He sells anything like death if it hits well, and that clapped through the arena. And you can see him on the camera as soon as he lands. It looks like he's just knocked out. And then, of course, towards the end, Kenny gets one last huge V trigger end, picks him up, hits the one-winged angel for the win. I had Naito predicted. Of course, I did those predictions before San Francisco, and I still probably would have kept it the same, but this just officially proves that Kenny is more than likely main eventing the Tokyo Dome, which I think is great. He's earned it again. I mean, he I don't even know if he had earned it that first time. He had gone through, won the IC title, won the briefcase, and then showing up at Wrestle Kingdom and having the best match at that time in the world is, he immediately, the company's got to think, okay, this is a guy that we can work with. He goes out there 6 months later, has another match, greatest match of all time candidate at Dominion of last year, and then he has that incredible sequence last year of Okada Naito back-to-back nights, and brings in Chris Jericho, has a five-star match, whatever that means to you, back in January. Has had great matches all year. Finally, they've given him the title, proving that he's the man, and this kind of solidifies the fact that he's going to be in that main event at the Tokyo Dome. Now I don't know where Naito's path leads him, though, because now he's not going to have a heavyweight title match. He could have like an open weight title, but they've already explored that back in his old babyface days. I don't know what direction they take with him now. Obviously, Gato has everything planned out, especially for a top 4-star like Naito is. He's one of their pillars, so that his story is probably already planned out. But to get that confirmation that Kenny's at least going to have a way better chance, personally, of main eventing the Tokyo Dome again is very exciting as a Kenny Omega fan. I hope he keeps putting on matches like this, which I think he will, especially considering his very next opponent's Goto, a guy he's put on a classic with, and with both of them being fresher, especially coming off 3 nights of rest, because they have the show tonight, and then they'll have 3 days of rest before they even fight again. They're going to be coming into it hot, and I'm looking forward, because Goto's been on a roll, especially the past 3 or 4 months. Actually, since Wrestle Kingdom, he's been on a roll, and of course Kenny is the best big match wrestler on the planet right now, and arguably the best wrestler overall on the planet right now. And seeing what those two are going to put together this time is going to be very exciting. So thank you very much if you've made it to this point. I don't know how it's going to get better from this night. This is definitely going to be one of the probably top 3 shows of the entire tournament. When you look back at it, everyone on this card delivered. Even the match that was my least favorite, I thought those guys delivered the best that they could. I thought it was a good match still. So yeah, I will try to have the Night 3 video up on Tuesday. Between school and work, I probably won't be able to even catch the show tomorrow on VOD at all. So hopefully I'll be able to get something up on Tuesday for that video. So look forward to that, and I will see you guys then.